Look, if you're the type of person who likes to cook and serve and enjoy your food with others, this is the fun part. You get to use the steak knife. These steak knives in particular from New West KnifeWorks have a bunch of different features that I want to walk you through across durability, aesthetics, and unique details. And that's starting with the blade profile. It includes two things you've seen on steak knives before, but not often in the same blade profile, and that is serrations as well as a straight edge. This sectioned blade profile allows this steak knife to have the best of both worlds. Most steak knives have serrations that come to more of a sawtooth point tip, which means that you're going to get great performance right away, but after repeated exposure to ceramic plates or whatever you're cutting up against, what ends up happening? Those tips start to curl over. It leads to the feeling of dullness, and it means that when you cut through things, it's going to feel more like a garden tool than cutlery. These serrations, however, go through a custom process, which leads to more of a scalloped edge with a little bit more chunkiness behind them, which means that they're going to hold up better over time. They're less prone to some of that impact damage. And what that means is you're going to get the same through the crust cut on your steak without sacrificing any of the hard work that you put into preparing it, which leads into that second half of the blade where the serrations disappear and you're left with just a straight edge where you're actually into the tender part of the meat that you're slicing. This leads to less jagged cutting and more of the juices being left inside of your protein. If you've spent a lot of time in the kitchen preparing dinner with a knife in your hand, ideally your guests have probably not, which is why a lot of the ergonomic features really matter when it comes to this steak knife. The knife makers, again, have done a brilliant taper with this knife, making sure that the taper going into the blade doesn't start until you actually reach the blade profile of this knife. That leads to this section on the spine just past the tang that has all the great spine beveling details that I love in New West KnifeWorks knives, where you're traditionally going to hold your finger, your index finger, as you're holding this knife is just a really comfortable place for that finger to rest. Again, the edge on this is going to make it so that you're having way less effort that you have to put into cutting your steak at baseline, but the clearance that you have between the business end of this knife and where your hand is actually going to be, it's so much safer for folks to actually use this knife and just enjoy their experience as they're enjoying your food. The length of this was also striking to me when I first initially saw it, but once I started to use it on actual cutting steaks, it made so much sense to me why you want something a little bit longer for all hand sizes. The full range of colors in the G Fusion line are available for these knives, as well as a more minimalist black, still using that aerospace grade, super durable G10 material. If you're into more natural looking materials or a more traditional wood aesthetic, I'd highly recommend checking out the incredibly sturdy desert ironwood. You can also showcase these further or just have a storage solution with a beautiful looking knife block also made with natural materials. The knife nerdiness goes even further with the steel that's used in these knives. This is a 440C steel, which is a departure from some of the other steels that are used in New West KnifeWorks' manufacturing process. And that's because 440C steel prioritizes two things: stain resistance and polish. Because this knife is created for a table setting, the knife makers thought, hey, let's actually make that actually a first principles choice in what steel we're going to use for this, and this is the type of knife nerdiness that I absolutely love. Every single piece of this process is both sourced and made in the USA, supporting American manufacturing. And I almost forgot to mention every single product that you're going to hear me talk about is backed by New West KnifeWorks 100% performance satisfaction guarantee. New West KnifeWorks is helmed by Corey Milligan, a chef turned knife maker who works with incredible artisans and actually empowers a lot of the knife makers to do a lot of the hand finishing that you're going to enjoy. And those details really come through, from the materials to the finishing to all of the features that are included with the end use in mind. For a comprehensive overview and comparison of the New West KnifeWorks G Fusion line, that is available for you to watch next. It's either right below this video or right here on screen.